Happy Wednesday, everybody. Question of the day, is Jada Pinkett Smith plausibly the most unlikable woman in Hollywood? I think she is, and she's recently come out to reveal that she and Will Smith have secretly been separated for 7 years. Lots that I want to say about that. Plus, later on in the show, you're not going to believe this, but Gavin Newsom has signed a bill. And it's not a bill that's going to fight illegal immigration in the state. It's not a bill that's going to deal with all of the crime in the state. Rather, it is a bill creating a new Ebony Alert, specifically for missing Black people. Okay, Gavin Newsom. All that and more today coming up on Candace Owens. Jada Pinkett Smith, the wife over 23 years of Will Smith. This is supposed to be Hollywood's aspirational couple. There are only a few of them who are supposed to look at them and go, I want to be just like them. But then things started appearing in the press, especially when Jada Smith had her Facebook show, which was called Red Table Talk, where we started realizing that something wasn't quite right with this relationship. Something was very different about this relationship, which obviously then culminated into Will Smith smacking Chris Rock on stage at the Oscars. What's going on behind the scenes? Well, Jada Pinkett Smith is now doing a press tour to reveal that actually her and Will Smith have secretly been completely separated for the last 7 years. And now they are growing exhausted with maintaining the lie. She sat down with Hoda Kotb of the Today Show, and here's what she had to say. Take a listen.
So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
yes,
y'all have been apart.
Yeah. I made a promise that there will never be a reason for us to get a divorce. We will work through whatever. And I just haven't been able to break that promise.
But you still live separately.
We live separately.
A lot that I can say there, but I'm just going to state the obvious, which is that Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith are frauds. It's annoying to me to watch pieces of this interview, which are circulating, in which Hoda and the Today Show cast almost make it seem like, oh, well, isn't this brave that she's speaking out about this? Oh, now she's going to be on the cover of People and she's going to divulge even more details in a book. And you guys are going to be able to see what's been going on in their relationship. No, none of this is brave. In fact, all of this is incredibly basic, right? Again, the idea is that people in Hollywood are aspirational. Don't you want to be just like them? Look at the money they have. Look at the fast cars they have. And then you see a relationship and they've got a family and they've got a son and they've got a daughter and they've been together for years. Black love, hashtag Black love. This is amazing. Who wouldn't want to be like them? Me, because let me tell you something. You are a better person than both Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith if you get up every day and you live an honest life. If you get up every day and you earn an honest living and you come home to your family, that's it. That's all it takes for you to be better than these people. I've told you guys for years, I absolutely hate Hollywood because it is ridden with frauds. Everywhere you go, there's a fraud in Hollywood, and you're finding out just how fraudulent it gets. You mean to tell me that since 2016, they've been putting on an act, hitting red carpets together, showing each other affection, better yet, preaching to the rest of us about how we should live our lives, right? Was not the purpose of Red Table Talk something cool and something cultural? Bring it to the table. We'll talk about these things that are so real and so honest and so brave and so straightforward. There was nothing brave, nothing straightforward about anything that she demonstrated other than her ability to lie to the masses for years. In fact, here's an example of that. She was on Watch What Happened Live, sitting down with Andy Cohen years ago, talking about how she keeps her relationship spicy, when in reality, they weren't even together. Take a listen.
How long have you guys been together?
23 years.
Wow. That's amazing. And in Hollywood years, that's 60 years.
Exactly.
Everybody, right?
Exactly.
Wow. How do you keep it hot?
How do I keep it hot? Maybe I don't know. I mean, I'm baffled, really.
Yeah, right.
We're all baffled, Jada, of how it's possible for you to be this fraudulent and to smile in everybody's faces and to insert yourself as an authority in their lives as an authority on how relationships should be dealt with, knowing that you weren't in a meaningful relationship really ever with him. We've heard you speak about how you cried on your wedding day. We've heard you outwardly speak about how you cheated on him. I guess you probably don't consider it cheating because you guys weren't together. But yes, it was cheating because you guys were married. We're a married couple, and vows mean something, no matter how much Hollywood is trying to convince the masses that really they don't. It can be progressive. We can consciously uncouple. We can stay married and sleep with other people, which is exactly what she did, by the way, when she decided to carry on an affair with a young man who was in his early 20s. I think he was 23 years old, a rapper named August who was friends with her son. Yeah, Jaden, she carried on an affair with one of his friends after he met her when he was young. Absolutely disgusting, despicable. You can't even consider the impact that it has had on the mentality of their children. Here's a picture of August. Now, you might notice that he looks a little different than clean-cut Will Smith, and there's a reason for that. It's because Jada Pinkett Smith is for the streets. I say that because everything that she has told us about herself and her upbringing and her lifestyle and the things that she craves indicates that what she really wants is somebody that's a little harder than Will Smith. Absolutely. She's obsessed with Tupac. She's talked about Tupac for years following his death. Will Smith even conveyed this in his own book, that he was jealous of the special bond that she carried with Tupac, and she still holds a torch for him, despite the fact that he passed many years ago to this day, because that's what she wants. She wants to be part of the thug life. As I said, she is for the streets while trying to convince you that her family has attained something, that if only everyone understood how open and honest and amazing things could be, they could have it too. Now I'm going to run this interview back for you from her Red Table Talk Facebook show back in 2020 when she invited her husband to talk about her affair that she had, to essentially tell the public that it was totally fine that she cheated on him because he wasn't doing the things that he needed to do as a man. Yeah, you can't even imagine a man sitting down, agreeing to sit down and do this publicly, but somehow Will Smith did. And it's so cringeworthy, we should watch it again. Take a listen.
I feel like that husband, like I'm with you at the press conference. I'm that husband. Now I got to be with you at the press conference while you tell the world about your transgressions.
Well,
Like I love my baby. I'm gonna stand by my baby no matter what.
well, I definitely understand why it would look that way or feel that way, but I actually don't look at it as a transgression at all.
Do you want to know what you should look at it as? Will Smith being officially spayed and neutered. That's what it is. We have just watched this completely over the last year unfold. The spaying and the neutering of Will Smith, formerly a man, formerly someone that people looked up to as an actor, now realizing that he doesn't have an ounce of manhood left in him because he refuses to file for divorce from this vile creature. Not vile because she's agreed to have this relationship. By the way, I'm not removing him from this. Both of them sat down and agreed to have this, not relationship, lack of a relationship, right? This fraudulent marriage so that they can maintain appearances in the public, but vile because she keeps publicly embarrassing him in this way. She routinely, publicly shames him in this way. There's nothing left of Will Smith. There really isn't, And now we obviously have an example of that, having been at the Oscars. New context provided. They weren't even married. So how fraudulent could Will Smith have been to say, don't keep my wife's name out of your mouth? Thug life. Keep my wife's name? How dare you even use that title, wife, to describe somebody that you are not only living an entirely separate existence from, but also allowing other men to sleep with? This isn't your wife. You are not a husband. These words have meaning, sacred meaning. It is a union that happens under God, but not in Hollywood, because nothing happens under God. In fact, everything happens under Satan. Yeah, it's demonic. That's why I try to remind you every single day on this show that none of these people are aspirational. They're all dogs. They're all for the streets. And that's all I have to say about that. Companies aren't just selling products anymore. They're selling you. I'm talking about how these tech companies enrich themselves by taking your personal data. They grab your web history, email metadata, and video searches to create a detailed profile on you. and then they sell that off to the highest bidder. When you go online without a VPN, internet service providers can see every single website that you visit. They can legally sell this information without your consent to ad companies and tech giants who then use it to target you. When you use ExpressVPN, your identity becomes anonymized by a secure VPN server, which means that your data is encrypted for maximum protection. I love ExpressVPN because it is extremely easy to use. You just open up the app and you click one button. Plus, it works on all of my devices, including my phone, my laptop, and my Wi-Fi router. So stop letting strangers invade your online privacy. Protect yourself at expressvpn.com/Candace. That's expressvpn.com/Candace to get 3 months free. expressvpn.com/Candace to learn more. Okay, now it's time for some topics du jour. Ebony alert, Ebony alert. Please, everybody stop. You're probably wondering what the heck I am talking about. Well, it's something that could have only been created in the socialist capital of the world, California. An Ebony alert is unlike an Amber alert, which was for all missing children. You know, California is really focused on changing things so much that, well, they're just bringing back good old-fashioned segregation. Yep. An Ebony alert is a specialized alert notification which has been signed in by Governor Gavin Newsom, which creates a specific alert system to bring back missing Black children and women home in California. It's incredible that this bill made it all the way through and it made it onto his desk, and nobody thought that it was problematic. I think I tell you this on the show all the time. That's, if you pay attention to the Democrats, they're just reintroducing everything that's happened in the past. You know, they were pro-Jim Crow and pro-segregation, and they just give a spin on it nowadays when they're like, well, but this is progressive, it's aspirational. We should all be moving towards understanding that we need Black-only spaces. Black-only spaces? Do you mean like Black-only water fountains like they had in the Jim Crow South? Black-only schools? Yep, they're talking about Black-only dorms. And so why not introduce a Black-only alert system, which I guess you're supposed to realize that you should pay more attention to an Ebony alert as opposed to an Amber alert. Like I always say, if you're ever wondering if something is racist in society today, you need to have a litmus test, just change around the circumstances to the exact opposite and let me know if it could exist. So he's introduced this bill with an Ebony alert. Could you imagine if Tennessee, where I live, decided to introduce a bill and they called it the Ivory alert? They said, we actually realized that when white kids go missing, we wanted to have a special focus. And so we're going to have the Ivory alert and everyone's phones will go off so they know that a sweet white child has gone missing. Imagine the outrage. You would just have people rioting in the streets tomorrow. But for whatever reason, when you flip it and you say Ebony alert, people think it's perfectly fine. I want to be clear here that when you see this level of stupidity, it is not because Black Americans agree with it. In fact, let's jump into some of the comments. Here are some that were under the publication TMZ on their Instagram about this Ebony alert announcement. This person writes, and this is a Black woman, I don't agree with the Ebony alert. We only need one alert for children because race should not matter. Very sound opinion. Another person writes, a way for authorities to decide how fast they want to respond. Third person writes, why do we need 2 missing kid alert systems? I feel like this is another form of segregation because people can get an Ebony alert and not care. An Amber alert was general and it was for all children. I feel like this is not okay. Another comment, they done segregated the Amber alert, sad face. Another comment, this is definitely segregation and discrimination. We all know how this will go. Shaking my head. Another user writes, a child missing is a child missing. F, does the color matter? Yeah, very good. And this woman obviously pointing to how weird it would be if we had, I don't know, like an Ivory alert or if we started segregating all of them. She wrote, I guess we finna get a WAN alert for the Hispanic people that go missing. The level of playing in our face they just played. Yeah, it's also strange to call it an Ebony alert. I totally agree with her. But this really shows you that just because things are being done on a political level, it is not because Black people are urging for these things to be done. A lot of the things that you see in the media, when you see people that are disagreeing with one another, it is really being prompted by politicians, right? This is obviously a waste of time in California in general. They have a lot bigger fishes to fry. Absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, you have people that are leaving the state in hordes coming down to the South for a better way of living. They have high tax rates. You look at the streets, you go to Los Angeles, and it looks like, honestly, a dilapidated South American country. It really does. Every time I go there, I just think, what happened here, right? You have the influx of illegal migration coming from the South. You quite literally have a poop patrol in San Francisco. You have high crime rates, people that are breaking in. We're seeing all of those images of people that are just doing these mass robberies in stores like Neiman Marcus that were once there are now all boarded up and they've left the state for good. But don't pay attention to any of that, guys. Don't pay attention to any of that. Don't pay attention to the fact that the world is burning around you. What we want you to focus on is the fact that we have now instituted an ebony alert for Black people, because I guess we couldn't just have an amber alert for everybody. Pay attention, you guys. Segregation is going to come back. They have tried to justify doing this because they are saying that there are more Black children that go missing than white children that go missing every year by rate, right? This is not going to change that, obviously. And they're saying that they feel that those Black children are not getting the same media response as white children are getting. This is not going to change that. All of this is basically being built upon emotion, very little logic and very little rationality behind enforcing these sorts of policies. And people that are responding are looking at this accurately. This is just another form of segregation. So to examine the statistics here, from 2017 through to the end of 2021, Black children made up 37% of missing child reports and nearly 37% of Amber Alerts. That's according to USA Today, which indicates that the alerts are being issued proportionately. But people don't care about that, right? Don't let the facts get in the way of emotionality, so they're going to institute this regardless. All right, you guys, moving on. Let's talk about David Weissman. David Weissman is a proud Democrat, according to his Twitter bio. He is also an opinion writer. And on top of that, he likes to write some things on Twitter that simply don't age well. So back in April of 2021, David Weissman tweeted this: "I will never stop saying hashtag Black Lives Matter and may even get a shirt myself." Oh, spoken like a true Dem. How could you not think that Black Lives Matter, especially back in 2021 when George Floyd took over the earth, right? Well, now David Weissman has a different feeling about Black Lives Matter. He tweeted this yesterday: "F them. Maybe the right was right about Black Lives Matter." Wow, what happened there? Well, as you can see, David Weissman has the Star of David next to his name because he also happens to be Jewish. That's only relevant because of what it is that has upset him so much about Black Lives Matter. He is upset, rightfully so, because Black Lives Matter Chicago, also Black Lives Matter New York, have been tweeting, "I stand with Palestine," not necessarily problematic to stand with Palestinians, but they have featured this image of Hamas terrorists whom paraglided into this music festival and just committed acts of terrorism, right? So I want to be clear. Again, we have seen over the years, there has been a debate. There is room for an academic debate of people who support Palestinians, people that support the Israelis, talking about the conflict in the area and how to resolve it. Not a problem. Definitely an endorsement of terrorism when you are posting an image of what has just occurred, which was absolutely horrendous. There's no person that can stand behind the terrorism, these acts of terrorism that just took place. People that are going to a music festival, enjoying themselves, and then they get completely terrorized by a terrorist group. Innocent people that have nothing to do with the Israeli government. They have nothing to do with the IDF. They targeted innocent civilians. They targeted young women. They targeted children. And it is absolutely despicable that Black Lives Matter would stand behind this and feature this graphic image to let them know, no, it's not just Palestinians that we stand with. We are saying that we stand with actual terrorists, right? We stand with Hamas. Now, the reason why I retweeted this side by side of his tweets and wrote LMAO, laughing at this, is because why would David Weissman not piece together that people that spent years, a group of individuals that spent years terrorizing their own country, right? People that were running into stores, setting fires. You'll never forget the images. Don't ever forget the summer of 2020, the things that we saw throughout that summer. I remember being terrified to go outside. I was very pregnant because through DC, people had to board up their businesses because they would just be throwing Molotov cocktails. They were breaking in the windows. They were taking whatever they wanted. BLM was an active terror cell in the United States of America that had mainstream support. Oh, we just deserve it, they said. Oh, that's just what we have to allow to happen. Of course, it makes perfect sense that a small business owner who has nothing to do with anything would have to wake up to find that their business was bombed by a Molotov cocktail, that people took everything that they wanted out of this business. Oh, it was totally fine that they were walking in the streets and that these people were harming other individuals. If you were on the streets, you had cars. If you lived in the inner city communities, if you lived in DC, like I live in DC, you would wake up and you would find that they just would stand on cars, they would break cars, they were just going after people's personal effects. Because why? Well, because George Floyd died. Yeah, George Floyd, who had, enough fentanyl in him to kill a horse, died. And the last person that was with him was a police officer. So that totally justified them terrorizing America for months on end following his death. So if you piece it together and you recognize that Black Lives Matter is and always has been a terror cell, although conveniently protected by the politicians and the media in America, it does follow the logic that they wouldn't mind terrorism overseas, right? Why would you mind terrorism overseas when you enact terrorism in your own country? But far be it from me to say that, right? How could I possibly say? I'm a Black person. I'm just supposed to support Black Lives Matter. I'm just supposed to do the thing. We're all supposed to just do the thing, suspend our thoughts, and say that all of this is perfectly fine. It's totally fine because at least they are the right color. And that's exactly what David Weissman did. He wanted to feel good about being a white man in America. And so he supported Black Lives Matter and suspended all of his thoughts. Speaking of which, guys, I want to show you this. I want to fully endorse this YouTube channel. You should run to it. You should subscribe to it. And if you have not yet known about it, you're going to be so happy that I'm introducing you to it. It's called Freedom Tunes, and they essentially produce cartoons that are absolutely hysterical, and they offer a commentary on our society today. And when you talk about the ridiculousness of the things that people allowed simply because of race, you could also describe the DEI initiatives, of course, that are happening all across the nation, happening in businesses where people are being hired on the basis of their skin color. Again, let's throw it back to Jim Crow, and not because they are actually qualified for the jobs that they have. So there are DEI hires all across the nation. Very scary concept if you think about it. Well, Freedom Tunes has thought about it in the vein of having a pilot. You imagine getting on a plane and they're saying, we just hired a pilot because we wanted to fill a quota. We wanted to make sure that we had trans Black women represented as pilots. We don't know if they can actually land the plane or anything like that. Take a look at this hysterical cartoon.
Whoa, that's great! The pilot was chosen because of their skin color!
Hey! I have to pretend to be mad you said that!
No, I'm saying it like it's a good thing!
Good! Because it's definitely a good thing!
So good, I want to warn everyone on the plane about the good news.
What a fabulous idea! Hey everyone! Ladies, gentlemen, children! There are children on this plane? Oh, wonderful. Great news!
Really great news. This airline has decided to pick its pilots based on diversity.
Oh, wonderful. My child is here.
Yeah, I'm so glad to witness history like this.
Haha, yeah, we really are gonna be history.
Whoa, that's so great.
I wish the people who built the plane were selected because they were Black women.
We need the person in the front of the plane to be a different color than the people in the back of the plane. Or the same skin color. Haha, I can't think of anything more important in a pilot than them looking like me.
I flew in Desert Storm and got passed up for this job. I'm
I'm so happy for they, them.
Hey everyone, thank you for flying with us today. To celebrate our new pilot's inaugural flight, we're just gonna leave the seatbelt signs on the whole time, if that's okay. Please, don't ask me for anything.
In today's news, DEI Airlines Flight 267 has landed unconventionally with no survivors.
It's suspected that white supremacist attitudes among passengers likely caused the pilot to lose control of the airline.
It's just absolutely brilliant when he says, I flew in Desert Storm and got passed up for this job. I'm so happy for they, them. And then, of course, it ends with the plane went down because of white supremacy. It is perfect. You guys subscribe to their YouTube channel. We have linked it in the description for you. According to a recent report, Planned Parenthood continues to rake in billions despite dwindling clients. With the help of donations to Preborn, we are stealing their clientele. When you donate $28 to Preborn, you will offer a free ultrasound to an expectant mother who is caught in a crisis. Once she hears that heartbeat and sees that precious life, her baby's chance at life doubles.
Hi, I'm Aisha, and I just wanted to share my journey with how the clinic has helped me come along this way. I just moved to LA to pursue a career. Found myself going through an unplanned pregnancy. I was debating whether or not I was even pregnant, so I did an online search and I found the clinic. And for sure, I was doing this. I made the appointment. Showed up to my appointment, I spoke to one of the counselors and took a test. While I was waiting, they talked to me about different pregnancy choices and different options and information that helped me be more educated. The test is positive. To confirm, I got an ultrasound of the pregnancy test and it was for sure positive. And I got to hear and see my baby for the first time. Hearing the heartbeat made me cry, and it was certain that I was going to keep my baby forever. And from time to time, I still go to the clinic to get additional services like baby clothes and diapers and other things. And I've had so much support from everyone, the staff, the volunteers. I now see my daughter and I cannot imagine my life without my happy, lovely, joyful, smart baby, and I'm so grateful.
All donations are tax deductible and will go directly toward saving babies' lives. You will never regret saving a baby's life. To donate, dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby. Or you can go to preborn.com/Candace. That's preborn.com/Candace. All right, now let's jump into some of your comments from episodes past. First set of comments regarding the clip I shared with you guys yesterday of Dominic Tarzinski. He is a member of parliament. We showed him speaking in front of the EU and showed him speaking in a BBC interview, essentially saying, I don't care if you call us racist. I don't care if you call us xenophobes. We are not taking in refugees, and we have kept Poland safe because we don't play with these sorts of social justice politics that you guys play with in the West. And Scooby says, as a Kenyan, having been in Poland for the past 6 years and knowing the dreadful consequences of having illegal immigrants from Somalia and no proper or strict assessment process, I respect Mr. Dominic Tarzinski for standing up for his country. I can attest that Poland is safe. I walked at 4 a.m. multiple times with headphones on and no one has bothered me. Of course, you need to be careful on certain streets, but overall, I have felt safer than in any other city in Europe, which for me says something. Very well said. And that's exactly what I would expect from a country that takes their safety seriously and doesn't really care about the emotions of people trying to tell you that emotionality should trump rationality. S'more6461 writes, Ireland used to be the same way. There were very strict laws, when it came to nationalization. I love the fact that this man says, call me a populist, a nationalist, or a racist. We don't care. We care about our families. Epic and fantastic. Very well said. Yes, I believe that people in the West should probably develop a similarly thick skin. As I said, right now everyone is so fearful of being called a racist, a xenophobe, every other ism that they have under the sun. And my perspective has always been I don't really care, actually. I kind of look forward to headlines calling me anti-this, anti-that, internalized misogynist, because once you allow them to call you it and you don't respond to it, and you don't bend your will according to those names, they kind of leave you alone. I always say it's like a game of Pokemon. I have to catch them all. I've been called everything. I don't think there's much left for me to be called. Moving on, I brought up with you guys the topic of the tremendous rise of birth complications that we're seeing. And I explained to you anecdotally that of 14 women that I know in my circle, all of them, save one, have had birth complications. And I'm just wondering what is actually going on. There seems to be some sort of an epidemic that we aren't paying attention to. Trial 7213 writes, I had a twin pregnancy with vaginal deliveries, 0 complications. I could go home in less than 48 hours. I'm a nurse and I knew that less medical intervention would leave me better off. Also, even the medicine to treat the symptoms of pregnancy, I treated naturally and had more positive outcomes compared to my fellow pregnant mothers who relied heavily on the advice of their OBs. Yeah, I am, as you guys know, if you're paying attention to our Shot in the Dark series, I am very anti-doctor. This entire pregnancy, I've got 5.5 weeks left of pregnancy here, and I have only been to the doctor twice. It's amazing. And I think it just gives you anxiety. They're testing you for everything. Then they test you for stuff, tell you that you have a percentage of a chance of something happening, and they give you medicine and pills. And I'm just not into any of it. I am very, very, very anti-big pharma. Destiny Faust writes, I am also very curious about childbirth complications today and the cause. My grandma had 6 healthy children naturally, and she talks about it like they just fell out. My mom had 4 children with the same circumstances. They both had their first children when they were 21 years old. I had my first child at 24 years old and thought childbirth would be easy for me because of our family history, but I found myself in a life-threatening situation for my baby and myself and had an urgent C-section after 4 days of labor. I do think hormones are a big factor, food, birth control, medicine, etc. I imagine vaccines have a huge role as well, being that my mom and grandma had little to no vaccines and I was vaccinated with every vaccine as a child until I was 18. I am grateful to be at an age where I can think for myself and choose more natural options for me and my family. Destiny, you sound like a very good candidate to be watching A Shot in the Dark because, as you guys all know, I say it all the time, I do not vaccinate my children. I do think that vaccines contribute. I do believe that the things that they're putting in our food and our water are contributing to all of the reproductive health problems that we're seeing for both men and women. And these sorts of conversations aren't had. We're starting to normalize the abnormal, which is to say, to pretend that it's normal that everybody needs to have an emergency medical intervention to birth one child, and to pretend that it's totally normal that people can't hold their pregnancies, that they're having to turn to science, to IVF, to looking for surrogates to be able to have children. None of this is normal, and we have to continue to talk about it because we know certainly the mainstream media will not. Lastly, Christina Garvey writes, in the hospital, women are also told to lie on their back and push, which defies gravity and closes the pelvic area instead of being on hands and knees or squatting, which opens the pelvic floor by 30% more. I also think it's important to note that all of the birth control we take and the GMO foods we are eating, this has to play roles in this as well, in my opinion. Yes, speaking of birth control, I do want to focus a couple of episodes of Shot in the Dark on that. I am very anti-birth control, have been for a very long time because of my reaction to it when I went on it for a very short time when I was in college. And I cannot see how people don't think just common sense through the fact that you're telling your body not to be pregnant for years and years and years. Of course, there's going to be some sort of a consequence for that when you suddenly say, okay, no, now I want to be pregnant because I'm 30 and I'm ready to have a kid. And just microdosing yourself with hormones every day, of course, there's going to be a consequence for that. And I think that we don't think about that, and we definitely should. And there's so many warnings that are in those inserts. Got to go over all of it again. That's on A Shot in the Dark. You guys know where that is. That's on Daily Wire Plus. And that's not all I have for you on Daily Wire Plus. Sadly, that's all the time that we have for today. But we also have my 10-part series, Convicting a Murderer, that is available now. It is absolutely smashing it. If you are interested, the first episode, free on X, free on YouTube. Second episode, free on Daily Wire Plus. A new episode drops every Thursday. So if you are a true crime junkie, even if you're not, you will love the series. So be sure to check it out. You guys, will see you tomorrow for a brand new episode.